Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing Sister Wife or Seeking Sister Wife. I don't have any alcohol to discuss on the top of the episode. We're just going to jump right in to the episode. So, Season 5, Episode 2, Seeking Danielle Davis. Jesus. So let's start with the Merrifields. So we're kind of right back where we left off with both of these dum-dums talking to Sam and Samantha. And I think it's Sam that says, "Another girl from Brazil, you're crazy." Danielle says, "She seems sweet." And Samantha says, "They all seem sweet." Like, what the fuck? And back to Sam, he says, "Well, wasn't the language barrier the issue between you guys with Bert? Like, come on." And he's like, "Well, no, I don't, that wasn't the issue. I think she was a scammer." Like, now you think she was a scammer. Jesus Christ. Anyways. And Danielle is like, and in the moment says, "I swear we're not stupid." Yes, you are. You and your husband. Him more than you. But anyways. Danielle says, "We are planning to go to Mexico." And she does admit, though, to Samantha that she wasn't really fully ready to date. So that does kind of goes to show that Garrick doesn't give a shit about his wife and what her needs are. He cares about himself. It's so gross. It was kind of hard for her to trust people again. Whereas maybe he was kind of ready to date get right into that because that was maybe his way of coping with Bert. But Sam does ask Garrick whether or not, like, are you sending money to her? Like, what's happening here? And he says, no, she hasn't asked for any money. And he asks him, like, does she work? And Garrick says, well, she just graduated from law school. Fuck's sakes. But no, she does not actually have a job. But they said, they're going to meet mom too. And Sam asks, well, did you pay for their trip to Mexico? The answer is yes, they did pay for the trip to Mexico. And Sam says, well, that's you giving them money, you idiot. Danielle says Garrick is thinking about proposing. And he made this ugly ass ring to propose with. It's so fucking ugly. It's so fucking ugly. What the? That's something that, like, you give your child as a gift or something. It's so fucking ugly. Okay. Without meeting her, they're gonna propose. It's no different than Bert, honestly. But they say, like, it just feels too fast. Sam says, I am not trying to stomp on your parade, but I'm just looking out for you. And he says straight up, if you hurt my sister, I will bury you. And Garrick's response to that is, well, I didn't hurt your sister, but you're the one who's out there still dating, despite the fact that my sister doesn't want to date right now. So yeah, you are hurting my sister, you fucking idiot. I hate him. Danielle and Garrick are now talking. They're gonna have a little conversation. And they're gonna talk about, like, maybe we could wait proposing, maybe see how she is as a person before, jumping into proposing, and that way you can have sex with her, you know what I mean? It's a good point, and he says, and she says, it does feel good now, but, like, what if it doesn't feel good later, But Garrick's response says, it feels like God wants us to be, or sorry, back up. She says, in the moment, it does feel like God wants them to be here. But he says, well, if God wants us to do it, we do it. No, 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 no. Fucking God. And he tells us about this little story about how they were praying, and this day they got this little visit from God, right? And in their garage, and God told them, go for it, go date, go find this girl, Nathalia, like she's gonna be great for you. Fuck this shit. And he said, he'd asked God, should Nathalia be a wife? And there was this wind, this presence that filled the whole garage that basically gave them peace. And that was how they knew that Nathalia was meant to be their wife. I hate him. I just can't. Like, you can't be serious. He just doesn't want, he's not changing his mind on proposing. He's gonna propose to her, and Danielle's gut is telling her to not propose yet. But we'll see. But now they're heading to Mexico, and they're bringing their fucking kids with them. Don't drag your kids into this bullshit until you know for sure. Jesus Christ. Anyways, they're gonna go to Cancun instead of going to Cabo, because that's where they would usually spend time with Bert, who was in Cabo. And Nathalia doesn't really like the fact that they're, ever considered going to Cabo. So they're going to go to Cancun. How does she know that they went to Cabo to be with Bert? That's confusing. Anyway. Then Danielle says in the moment that, in Her in the Moment, sorry, let's go back up. Danielle and Her in the Moment, I'm talking about meeting Nathalia, slips up and says, meeting Roberta for the first time. That just kind of goes to show. Anyway. But now they're in Mexico. Nathalia's going to be in Mexico the following day. And the boys are kind of excited to meet her, but they really don't give a shit. Now, it's the next morning, and it's 5:45 a.m. And we find out that Nathalia and her mom were not able to get on the plane. They wouldn't let her go on. She needs a visa to get into the plane. And Brazilians apparently can't just go to Mexico on a passport anymore. Laws have changed. And Nathalia says something about a request not being processed or something. It was really confusing. But the producer says, we just got 2 people to get it to work in like the last 10 minutes. So something isn't quite adding up here. And she says, I think it was Nathalia says something about, not being able to do it because Brazilians have done this like thing or something. Like, I was very confused. Kind of out of my wheelhouse here. I wasn't sure what you were talking about, but anyway. Will she or won't she? We will find out later on. But moving forward, let's talk about the Sherwoods. So Shane and Grace are going to be meeting today. Shane is a little nervous with meeting the other person. And he asks, to kind of, I guess, help with the tension. It's your first kiss, and we all exchange first kiss stories. And Grace says that her first kiss was actually in 6th grade with a girl. They're ordering their food, and Grace is going to have a salad that's vegan, gluten-free, and soy-free. Do what you gotta do. Shane says that he felt off that Grace didn't want to meet him right away. He kind of felt that maybe she was trying to cast him aside. And Grace says, oh no, that's not it at all. And she asks, how do you feel about all of this? And Shane says, I heard you have not had a lot of touchy-feely type situations, but his hand signals were what are you doing? So Grace says that because now talking about kind of what she does, and this is what takes a turn. Grace says that she helps entrepreneurs get rid of the blocks and the walls that stop them from fulfilling, like having a fulfilling life or achieving their goals. She says it's very spiritual, and she communicates with the universe, basically channeling. And Grace says it because like he's kind of confused by everything and doesn't quite understand. And Grace says, it feels like you don't believe in it. Well, he doesn't have to believe in it. He just maybe has to respect it, but he doesn't have to believe in it. It's two different things. Um, she's like, well, that's interesting. And Shane says, I don't, but maybe I just don't understand it. I'm trying to understand, you know. Grace says, well, have you heard of therapy? And he's like, well, yeah, of course. But you talk to someone and then they fix your problems. Well, that's not therapy. A therapist doesn't fix your problems. They may give you tools to help you, but they don't fix your problems. If only it was that easy. She asks, well, have you seen a therapist? He says no. She said, well, that shows. Well, that was rude. Funny, but rude. He doesn't believe in a higher power helping you through things. He believes you do that yourself, which I agree. You can maybe have a higher power guide you, but definitely not help you. And Shane feels like Grace is kind of full of herself. I agree. I actually agree with that. I do think she's full of herself. Grace asks, what is it about this lifestyle that made you feel like, hell yeah, let's do this? And he basically just says, you know, it's about her and her being able to live her best and authentic life, right? Obviously, we couldn't have heard him say this before. He just didn't want her to make her feel like she was going to be living two different lives. Well, Grace is going to leave now because I guess this shit just didn't go well. And she's like, it's just that time. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to go. And Grace hoped that Ashley kind of would have stepped in more to what? Like, what you gonna do? That's her husband. You're just a girl she's dating. Honestly. They have talked about spirituality apparently before, and she's kind of confused, I guess. Maybe she thought like he would also be spiritual too, which doesn't matter, or you don't, you know. But she's like, you know, maybe they're not on the same page as much as they think they are. Well, it's not for you to decide. But anyways, she's gone, and it's just now the two of them. And he says that was weird. It's awkward. And he doesn't know if he could get on board with that. And he shouldn't have to. She says there were sides of Grace that she hadn't seen before. She admits straight up, Grace disrespected my husband. And he says, kind of to, I guess in a way, kind of support Ashley. He says the reason I got so upset, the reason I got so upset about, you know, her quote unquote job is because Ashley went to school to be a psychiatrist, and that schooling took her 12 years. So I get it. And it just felt to him that, you know, Grace doesn't really care about her relationship with Shane. But Ashley feels like she is going to take some time to figure it out and figure out what to do. But for Shane, he's just kind of confused as to why she needs that time. Like, what is she holding on to? Is there something that I'm not seeing? But honestly, I think Ashley making the decision to give herself time, be able to think clearly, is what you should do. You're always told, don't, you know, in school, you would always be told by a professor, don't come to me right after you get test marks. Let this sink in for at least 24 hours and then come to me because you're going to be a little calmer to have a conversation. It's it's the best advice. And so I don't see an issue with her taking the time to figure it out. I don't think it's necessarily that she's holding on to anything. I think she doesn't want to make a decision based on, feeling upset about something. So I don't see an issue with that, but that is it for the Sherwoods. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will hop into the remaining two. Have you ever thought of starting your very own podcast? Doing the research, I found something that would have made editing easy and seamless and makes the podcasting experience just that much easier. And I am talking about Ludo. This is a podcast software that I use for our editing of our episodes. It is amazing. It is easy. You're also able to get help from doing chats and getting the information that maybe you just need a little more help with. They also have access to different articles that can also help you that have been just godsends for me. Also with Ludo, you can create clips. You can do your ads, that's like this very one I'm doing right now. And you can create your trailer very seamlessly just by the clicks of buttons. You can also use Ludo to publish your episodes just straight from the software. It's so easy. I highly, highly recommend it. You can get access to Ludo by using our unique link, which you can find on our show notes, just down there at the bottom at the show notes. And you can get access to an easy software. And we're back. So let's go to the Salahuddins. So there's not much here really to talk about. We're still doing the dinner situation, and he's still an asshole. But he's like, my benefit is having a bigger family. Shit. Mom says, get a dog, get a cat. The fuck? You want a bigger family? Get a dog, get a cat, you fucker. Anyway. And he's like, there you go again. You're so close-minded. She says, if she was close-minded, sir, I wouldn't be here. And she says, so I have to like it because you're doing it. I have to like it. I have to accept it. And he says, no. I mean, he doesn't really give a shit if anyone likes it or not. Then why are we here? You idiot. Why are we here? Anyway, then they tell her about Keisha. And she asks, well, how's she look? And Naila is kind of like, she's attractive. Like, what do you think? So she's not attractive. But Naila says that she talked to her first for 2 months before, he talked to her. But he's still an asshole, like I said. And, I think Mom says, like, it's going to be interesting kind of coming here and seeing there's going to be another woman here, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, who gives a shit? It's Boomba, I'm over it. I hate them. But that's basically it for the Salahuddins. Like, there's not much else to really say here. But let's move on to the final family, the Davises. So we're with the Davises, we're with Nick, and I wrote, why the fuck is he wearing a suit? And he says, I might be the stay-at-home dad, and I take it very seriously. I love being a stay-at-home dad, so he's going to dress the part. He reminds me of someone in my family, actually, who does this exact thing. And guess what? He's hated in my family. He's not he's on blood. Yeah. Anyways. Jennifer comes in and he tells her, we had a good day. We went to the park. And he has this weird look on his face, like, what happened at the park? But they do talk about seeking another wife, and she says like we're going to expand our family. That's our purpose till we're done, and you know, and she feels like it's not too soon to be expanding. Danielle's been here for 2 years, like whatever. They do hope that with the right person, though, that Danielle would feel a lot better. She'll put her fears to rest, and that could be very well what could happen as well, like for sure. But that's kind of what they're hoping for. Then we get some on-screen text, and it says, shortly before the crew was set to film, the producers received a call from Nick. Danielle moved out. Damn. Let's get some information on this. So we see all three of them just sitting there on the couch all sad and shit. Nick says that he was in bed with Vera. He heard some commotion downstairs. So he goes downstairs, and he sees the plants on like the windowsills were gone. And apparently those plants are Danielle's. And she comes back in to what he now knows was her taking a load of her stuff out to the car, and says, I'm moving out. And she got her own place. My girl's been planning this shit. She's been planning the escape. This is some shit. Like, I thought that maybe she was going to live with like a friend or something, because I don't think she has a lot of family nearby. So I thought like maybe we like a friend or something. No, she got her own apartment. Damn. And she says, I'm leaving. That's that. And he told her, she has to do what she feels is right for her. But obviously, like, he's upset, and he told her that he loved her, and he looked on in disbelief as she was packing her car and all of that. He said after an hour of her doing that, she was gone. Wow. I think it was April. It said like, oh, sorry, it wasn't. I think Danielle said that she doesn't quite know what she wants to do with herself, which of course not. She's like, what, 24, 23, 24. Of course she doesn't know what she wants to do with herself. And I think it was April says like, is it about the relationship, or does she want to be in a monogamous relationship? Like, what's going on here? And she actually moved out when April and Jennifer weren't home. And they speculate that probably she did that way because she didn't want them to stop her from leaving. Danielle actually texted April, I guess in the moment as they're talking, and she said, I wish you all the best. I don't think I realized what I was doing. I just have a lot of things to figure out. I do love you guys and miss you very much. And that will never change. April says, I hope she realizes that just because she's left doesn't mean she can't come back. And I'm sure she maybe thinks that she could come back, but there's clearly something, she's clearly not, maybe she's not feeling heard, and she says she doesn't want someone else coming in. Maybe she doesn't feel heard, and that's why she left, and, but, they're worried about the kids because the kids see her as a mom and how they're going to tell the kids that she's gone. But Nick is going to reach out to Danielle to kind of see if this is something they can fix. Jennifer kind of says like she doesn't understand why Danielle didn't talk to them first before she left, but maybe she has been. I think she has been, and you've been ignoring her. So the next thing was for her to leave. That's some shit. Honestly, good for her. I don't blame her. I do think on the one hand, she had no fucking clue what she was getting herself into. Getting into a polygamous relationship at 23 or whatever age she was is ridiculous. But I also think like there's maybe some things going on there that's made her want to do this in the first place. But now she's not feeling heard. So she left. You know, she can do it. She's not married to him. She's not married to anybody in that freaking family. So, yeah. Guess we'll see how that goes. But that is that for this episode of Seeking Sister Wife. Next time on. So, I guess Talia got on the plane. I guess. I don't know. Then we are going to be meeting the Ryans, our final family. She's his wingman, y'all. This is so fucking then we see Danielle and they ask her like why she moved out, and she says it just didn't feel right to her, so that's why she left. That's fair. But that is it for Seeking Sister Wife. I still have 2 older episodes to get to, which is Love is Blind and Married at First Sight. There are all going to be other episodes coming to you as well, but I think either you would have gotten them before this or whatever. But you will be getting those very soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.